So I just got off a client call and she asked me a really profound question that I hear often, but I don't think I've talked about in my content before. And she said, how do you know when taking care of yourself has gone too far to the point where it's now considered selfish? This is a really interesting question, okay? And so, to give some background, me and this client, we've been working together for about 6 weeks now. She is a director at a bank. She has a very high demand job, high level accountability, big team she's responsible for. She's constantly traveling on the go. She's amazing. Um, and when she first started working with me, she was so burnt out and overwhelmed. I told her I could help her. I'm going to show you how we can heal this. And now that she's 6 weeks in, she said to me, she's starting to directly see the correlation between taking care of herself and being a better wife, director, colleague, boss, et cetera, et cetera. Like now she can see how much her life is impacted when she takes care of herself. And it's interesting because when people first sit down with me, that's usually really hard for them to understand and grasp. Like people usually come to me in a state where they're overwhelmed, anxious, they're burnt out. They are ready to damn near call it quits just because they can't take it anymore, but they know they can't really do that, or they don't even necessarily want to. They're just so filled to the brim that they're just like, help, 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 help. I need to escape this feeling that I'm stuck in. And I always tell them, like, look, you just got to trust me and do what I say. And I promise you, I can get you to feeling more balanced and present and at peace and still be killing it and still be productive, but not feel this sense of dread and anxiety. And everyone always looks at me like a deer in a headlights, like how, like almost like they don't believe me, but they trust me enough to get started. And again, within a few weeks, they always see it. And this is the point she's at. She's like, okay, I see it now. Like I get the vision. She's like, however, my question is, when does taking care of yourself start to become selfish? She's like, is that something you hear often? And that is a question I get from my clients all the time. It's like, hey, I get that like getting a good sleep is important. And I get that sometimes I need to just, go for a walk instead of sitting in front of a computer longer. Like I get that. But now that she's kind of mastered those basic steps, and now that we're getting to the point of setting more boundaries and fine tuning how she wants her work life harmony to look like, this fear of, am I going to come off selfish, comes up. And she's like, so how do I know? And my answer to her was, taking care of yourself should never be looked at as selfish. Okay. And the right partner, the right business, the right company will understand that the best version of you for you means the best version of you for them. Okay. That's how you know you're in a healthy relationship. Okay. So if you are taking care of yourself, if you're doing what you need to make sure that you can show up in the best capacity for, again, your partner or for your team or for, your like whoever you're presenting to, that's the most honorable act, because now you can actually serve them from a place of like energy and high vibes and just showing up for them in the best capacity, because you can actually serve them from a place of wholeness and groundedness. If you're showing up exhausted, burnt out, irritable, impatient, overthinking, like that might feel normal to you, so it feels like you're doing something, but you're not showing up to the in your best version of them, because you're restricted and you're in fear and you're in scarcity and you're depleted. Like, that's not a healthy dynamic. And so I explained to her that, again, you taking care of yourself, if the other party is the right party for you, they will want you to do that. Now, when you're doing these things, that still means you have to uphold your end of the bargain, meaning you're still treating that other party with respect. So let's say the new boundary or standard you want to set for yourself is, you're no longer answering, or you're going to leave work at 6 o'clock today, let's just say. And usually you'd stay in work late. And today you're like, no, I'm actually going to leave at 6 because I really want to go take this yoga class. So where it can get unhealthy is if you don't communicate that clearly. If you go at the beginning of the day, go, hey guys, I'm leaving at 6 today, just so you know, all my work's done. You don't have to take care of anything. I'll be back in tomorrow morning to continue where we left off, but everything will be good and I'm out at 6. That's a healthy communication. That's a respect for the other party. That's great. And you're leaving in order to take care of yourself. If you don't tell the other party that you're leaving early, if your work is left scattered, if you're leaving a bunch of loose ends that they don't know about, yeah, that can start to challenge the relationship and maybe they won't feel as aligned with the fact that you left, but it's all about the way in which it's done and the respect between both parties. But again, if your partner or your work truly are the right party for you to be in alignment with, in relationship with, they are going to want you to take care of yourself. They are going to want you to do whatever you need to do to show up as the best version of yourself, to show up as your highest performer, because they know they're going to benefit from that. Okay. And so and now here's the thing. If you have never experience taking care of yourself, and I know that sounds silly, but truthfully, like if you've never honored boundaries around your work or your personal life, if you constantly say yes all the time, if you're a people pleaser all the time, if you're always taking on extra work, like if you're not used to honoring your needs and your truth, this idea of being selfish by taking care of yourself is going to be really uncomfortable for you and really foreign. You're going to feel like it's selfish. You're going to feel that guilt is what I mean. That's going to come up for you really quickly if you've never done the groundwork of learning what it means to take care of yourself and honoring your needs. That idea of maximizing your potential by taking care of yourself, understanding how that's a positive for you and for the other party, that will only start to click once you've already started taking care of yourself and seeing some results for that. That's like with my client, we're already at week 6 of her dabbling in this space of like, what does it look like to take care of me and how does this affect the rest of my life? She's already gotten a taste of that. So when I say to her, hey, we're going to turn this up even more and you're going to see how this makes you an even better performer and an even better performer, or sorry, an even better performer or an even better partner. She's starting to buy into that now because she's gotten a taste of the first part. Okay. And so as I'm saying this to you, if you are like in your body going like, there's no way, like I just feel so selfish and so guilty when I try and take care of myself, that's just because that's all you've known. It's not because it's not possible. It's because you've never exposed yourself to the other side of things. Now, it does take understanding how to integrate that into your life. That's what I teach and what I preach in my program, Selfish Plug. Like we have to baby step your way into doing that. But the best high performers in the world, they understand that they have to invest in themselves as an asset. Like, again, I always use the professional athlete example. If you're the star, we just had the Super Bowl. If you're the star quarterback, if you're Patrick Mahomes, whatever team Patrick Mahomes is playing for currently or wherever they're going to next, they expect that man to have a personal chef. They expect that man to have a full-time masseuse, a full-time PT, full-time recovery. Like they expect that man to have a team around him to invest in him and his physical health and his mental health and his emotional health, because they know if they do that, that's going to pay off on the field, right? That's what true high performers know, right? So, we're not all Patrick Mahomes with millions of dollars and we can have a team that does all the things for us. So we got to start somewhere. But we can understand that if we are making our sleep a priority, if we're making our diet a priority, if we're learning to set healthy boundaries, if we're learning to say no to the things that aren't in alignment with us, if we're understanding not to take on work that isn't actually in alignment with our role or our greatness, if we're learning to say no to certain opportunities and being okay having healthy confrontation with people when things are not jiving the way we should, speaking our truth, all these things, these are the ways that we can invest in our asset and show that when we do that, we invest the time and the energy into taking care of ourselves, how that's going to pay off for everybody else. Okay. So that's all I really wanted to say in this episode. It's super short and sweet, but taking care of yourself should never be looked at as selfish. And if you look at it as selfish, or if you're in a dynamic where the other person looks at it as selfish, I would question the health of that relationship. Okay. Because someone who understands what it means to take care of themselves is going to want a partner, a colleague, a boss that does the same. Okay. Like, I know for me in my relationship, it is extremely important that my partner takes care of himself physically, mentally, emotionally. If he doesn't, that's a pretty much a deal breaker for me. Same thing with my clients. Like, when I get on a consult with someone, the people that I choose to work with are people who are growth oriented. So if I get on a consult with someone and they've never really done any self development or any work in that area, I am a little bit hesitant to work with them, not because I don't think I can help them, but because I want someone who wants their result as bad as I do. Like, the people I work with, I am full throttle. I am here for everything that we can do to get you the result as fast as we can. Okay. I know what it's like to be in your shoes. I know what it's like to feel burnt out, to feel disconnected, to feel like misaligned and not have any purpose. I know what that's like. And I know what the other side's like. And that's why I'm so passionate about helping people, because I know how much different it feels on the other side. But the person that I'm choosing to work with, like, yeah, you're hiring me, but you're investing in yourself in this process. And if you're not going to be as committed as I am, quite frankly, not my type of client. I want people who want this just as bad as I do for themselves. I can't want it for you more than you want it for yourself, right? Again, that's a healthy, secure dynamic. So if you're in a relationship, if you are working for a company that doesn't value you taking care of yourself, I would question that heavily, like, honestly. Now, the other thing I'll mention though is if you're quick to point the finger at them not honoring your need to take care of yourself, first we got to direct that back on you. So usually how that looks when they're not honoring that is they don't, quote unquote, respect your boundary or what you set in place. So again, if you're saying, I'm going to leave at 6 today, and they go, well, no, we have all this stuff that you have to get done. And, they start throwing a bunch of other things on you, or they start making you feel guilty. Then if you genuinely held up your end of the bargain, you got the work done that was supposed to be done, not any extra stuff, but you got that done and you communicated clearly, and you're not like breaking any rules. Like, your working hours stop at 6, anything past that would be out of your own, your own goodwill. Like, if you truly held up your end of the bargain and then they're still pushing that, remember, a boundary is up to you. A boundary is not up to the other party. So if your boundary was, I'm leaving at 6, and they push and they prod, and then you give in and choose to stay, but then after you go and bitch about them and how they don't honor your boundaries, sorry, you're the person responsible for that violation of that boundary, because the boundary is not about what they'll do. It's about what you'll do in that sense. So they tried it. They asked if you'd stay. They threw more stuff on your table, but you're the one who broke the boundary, because the boundary is an upholding of a commitment to yourself, right? Now, if you choose to honor that boundary and they're still pushing in unhealthy ways, that's when I would ask questions, okay? But if they're testing you and you're not sticking to your word, well, then we can't put the responsibility on the other party. We can't all of a sudden go to say that they're the wrong person for me or whatever, because they're just mirroring back the behavior that you're demonstrating. You don't honor your boundaries, we're not going to honor them. We're not going to honor them either. That's the way it works. That's the way life works. That's the way the universe works. Okay? But you teach other people how to take care of you. You teach and train other people how to show up for you based on what you do and don't allow. But that goes back to your actions. So if I say I'm laying this out, I'm the one who decides if it gets honored or if it gets violated. Right? And when you start to do that, then everything else around you will shift. So then this conversation of, am I being selfish because I'm putting myself first too much? Again, a party that you want to be in business with, a party that you want to marry, that you want to commit to long term, professionally, personally, they're going to respect the hell out of that. they're going to be like, yes, that's the type of teammate I want to invest in. That's the type of partner I want to invest in. That's the type of employee I want to invest in. Someone who understands that when they take care of themselves, they're going for greatness because we want greatness. That's the type of relationship you want to be in. Okay. So looking after yourself should never be viewed as selfish as long as you're respecting the other party involved. And again, if that's being tested, this is when I'd start to ask some real questions.